We zijn alle groten krank met ich probeer to commenteren. And for everyone who speaks English, hello everyone, welcome to round 4 of the 2S BMW challenge. Today we are at Suzuka, which is the final selected track for this series. Remember, we still have one more track to race at for round 5, but we don't know which track that is. It's a random track that will be decided the day of the event. So there will be no practice for the drivers, which could throw a bit of a curveball into the mix. My name is Christian Stricker, I'm your commentator today. I do apologize if I sound a bit different. I'm currently suffering from a cold, so energy levels might not be as high as usual, but we'll try and see how it goes, and also manage it as we move on. I just want to quickly remind you and everyone who's watching, and also for the drivers who might be re-watching this race, this is a Christmas series that we usually run at 2S, so there will be a giveaway at the end. To be entered into the giveaway, you get a single ticket. You get one ticket for every race you complete, so if you complete all 5 of the races this series, you get 5 tickets, so that increases your chances of winning the giveaway, which is 3 times 20 euro vouchers for the website of your choice. So round 4 today. Last weekend we saw sorry, not last week, I keep saying weekend, it's last week, Monday. Last week we had Tommy Azulin winning yet again in 2S. I think it's his 3rd win in total. So I just want to quickly say it's a huge congratulations to Tommy yet again for winning the BMW challenge. He was chuffed. I'm very happy for him, as he is one of my own teammates in Luxley Racing. And then, to speak of the devil of Luxley Racing, welcome back to the grid, Felix Ruppert, and what a way to start your presence here at 2S by setting the first fastest lap of the session with a 1:58.4, which I don't think anyone is going to be coming close to in this quality session. Felix Ruppert coming back with a bang, absolutely knocking out the park with not just under 10 minutes to go qualifying, and look how far away the rest of the drivers are. I will mention though, Lars Kirschbaum is another Rennwelten driver, so Felix Ruppert's teammate in his other team. Well, I'd say his main team, the Luxley Racing team, is a bit more of a fun thing myself and the other Luxembourgish drivers have made, but the other official team Felix Ruppert, Lars Kirschbaum races for, so he's currently P2, and then Tommy Aslin and Ben Lowe's in P3, P4. Wow, so that's actually also quite interesting. So I assume Felix, oh there you go, Sam Chumley up into net P2, I assume Felix, if the standings stay as they are, be quite chuffed with himself, with all his teammates around him. It will be quite interesting to see how that transfers into the race. We'll just ride on board with Tommy Aslin as he's coming to complete his lap time. He is up on his delta. I don't know if he's up enough to best Sam Chumley, but we'll see as he comes through 130R. Very difficult corner BMW. If you touch the curb outside, your car can spin. He's not invalidated, but he's lost a little bit of time doing that line, so deep into the chicane. Nice short shift up to second. Getting around the final corner now. Early on the power, he's lost a little bit of time with that slide. See what he will get coming towards the start finish line, which is coming up very soon under the BH auction sign. He crosses the line, not an improvement, but his delta was pretty much down neck and neck with his previous lap time, so he definitely has some time in himself, as he's already doing this corner 2/10 up on his fastest time. Let's talk a little bit of some other drivers on the grid. Aiden Bailey also returning after taking a break in Imola. He's shooting sparks out his car, and just as I cut him, he goes wide and invalidates his lap time. I don't know if that's commentator's curse. We can put it down to that, so sorry Aiden for cursing your lap there. Yeah, we'll jump back to Lars Kirschbaum, as he is on a little bit of a flyer actually. And we'll see what his line is when he crosses his lap time when he crosses the line. He's getting a little bit of a slipstream from Sam Chumley there. I don't think it's a massive difference that he gets, but he might be sharing insider knowledge with Felix, and I can quickly check. I can probably tell you they're probably in the same Discord chat right now, and yes they are. Felix is actually streaming to his other Rennwelten drivers. Maybe I might just do a mid-race interview and just yoink him in without warning him. That'd be quite funny. But yeah, so they're definitely sharing tips and tricks together, which will be might be useful for last race. He does cross the line, he does go faster, but it's not enough to be anywhere near Felix Robert. Sai Prithvi, we've seen him before, we've seen him here again at Suzuka. He's been very quick. And he's showing it yet again with a provisional P2 for the grid. Great stuff from Sai Prithvi. He's a new driver for this series. I've never seen him in it before in 2S, and he's definitely making great first impressions for sure at this 2S race. He was involved in that brilliant battle in Nürburgring with Tommy Aslin and George Brabner, which I highly recommend everyone goes back and watches. Let's jump over to Martin Muller, who is, I wouldn't say, I don't know if a teammate of Tommy Aslin, but he was last season. He's quite far up on his delta. He's nearly a pole second up, which would put him all the way up to P8. I think maybe just ahead of Tommy Aslin. We'll see when he crosses the line. It's quite a long run down to the start-finish line, and he crossed the line now up to P9, just behind Tommy Aslin, as he pulls off the road, ready to reset his car. Marvin Betch, the other green BMW in the Team Alpina car, he was struggling a little bit in practice. I saw he was not so confident with the car. The BMW is it's a tricky car to drive at Suzuka, but it's also one of the quicker cars at Suzuka. So you could see definitely the difference in the skill gap here today. The top, well, Felix Robert in a world of his own, and the Sai Prithvi, Lars Kirschbaum only 2/10 behind between each other, and then George Brabner 2/10 or 3/10 behind Kirschbaum, Higgins 2/10 behind Brabner, and then between Higgins and Jack Colley, so those 3 positions, it's only 2/10 as well. So it's somewhat quick, we might get quite a good race on our hands, but the final quality laps have not been set yet. It is also, we need to remember, Suzuka, which is a very difficult track to get a perfect lap time down on, so some people might have quicker race pace than their qualifying pace, which does make quite interesting racing. And someone we haven't spoken about too much is Ruben van den Hudding, usually a contender in the top spots. He drove the BMW last season as well. As you can see, his beautiful Trigon livery right there on the screen. You see the 4 trophies on the back that represents every single Constructors' Championship he has won. He's never won the Drivers' Championship, but he was very close to win it a few seasons ago when it was him and Sam Chumley going head to head for the win. And also, I believe in season 2, when him and Sam Chumley, it all came down to the final race in Suzuka, actually, where Sam Chumley took the title because Ruben unfortunately disconnected, which was quite sad to see, in a bit of an anticlimactic way to finish a championship. But here he comes, rounding the final few corners now in P14. Let's see what his delta is. It's positive, so he might jump a few positions, but I don't know how much it'll be as he comes down towards the start-finish line. Let's see what it be. Jumps up to P12, and he lost 2/10 in the final corner there, so he definitely has potential to be all the way up to P7, actually, I'd say. Oh, there's Rhino on the track, yellow flags there. And then we see a return to form of Jack Colley. He's not been with us for quite a while actually, but he's decided to join us today. Another one of the VVDL members, so he will be part of the VVDL teams of Ben Lowes, Aidan Bailey, I was trying to think, Gareth Higgins, and Mikael Osterholm. So these 4 are the guys with the VVDL car, and then the 5th one coming in with Jack Colley. So it's nice to see him back on track, back in form as well, as Aidan Bailey actually sets a very fast lap right behind Colley. 1.5 seconds off Felix Robert, but then again, Felix Robert in a league of his own. But Aidan Bailey, that is much quicker pace than we've seen from him usually in any of 2S races, so that's nice to see him in the top 10 mix. I said it in the first round of the BMW Championship for Aidan Bailey. That was good. He seems to be improving his pace, and that's always a very positive thing to see. And then here he comes again and shows it in this quality session. He does say he struggles on the longevity of races and maintaining his pace throughout, but it's definitely good practice grounds for him to become a contender in potentially Silver Championship next full season here at 2S, which I look forward to. Aidan Bailey, he's been with us for a few seasons. I've met him in real life. He's a generally nice guy, and I hope he improves his sim racing as well. Tommy Aslin struggling a little bit at the moment, running a Centurion Motorsports livery, not the Luke Slay Racing one. That brought him to victory last time around. So he was P1 last time around, to P9 here. We were joking that we could get a Luxembourgish 1-2-3 podium, but a lot will have to happen in order for that to become a reality. As we have Tommy Aslan in P9, Ben Lowes in P15. Myself, if I was driving, I'll probably be around P16, 14, 13, yeah, give or take where Ben Lowes is. We have similar pace, to be honest. Although when we did our Bathurst race, I was a bit closer to pace than Tommy, so it fluctuates a little bit what our pace is. But yeah, well, definitely a bit more of a spread field than we were hoping for Luxembourgish drivers, but that's just my own thing. I don't know if they're a fan favorite for everyone else, but they definitely are for me. As Tommy Aslan comes across the line now, he looks like he might jump a couple of positions to see what he is crossing the line. There you go, P8 for Tommy Aslan. Slotted himself right in between the VBDL boys of Jack Coldy and Aidan Bailey. Let's have a look at Lars Kirschbaum yet again, as he is on a better lap, and just as I cut to him, he invalidates. So he was 2/10 up, which might have put him in contention for a side 50s lap, but it's invalidated now, so it's a bit unfortunate. Gareth Higgins, though, is not invalidated his lap. It's right on board with him. He's 3/10 up, which could actually see him jump ahead of George Brabham if he maintains these the way this Delta is going. Gains quite a lot of time through this corner, actually. He's on an absolute flyer at the moment, nearly half a second up now. Let's see what he'll be at the end of 130 as he comes blasting down the straight. This BMW hitting quite high speeds, nearly 250, nearly 260 actually, 257 was his top speed. As he comes down towards the line now, let's see what it'll be. Oh, not towards the line, towards the last chicane. It goes a little bit deep, that might cost him a little bit of time, but he manages to correct it well enough, as his exit here is very important. But he lost 2/10 going deep into the chicane, which I'm sure he'll be kicking himself about, as qualifying is over now. But he still might be able to jump past Jack Coley. He jump past him and then lifts a bit over the line and gets himself back up to P5 yet again after losing it in the chicane. Lars Kirschbaum as well on an absolute flyer at the moment. He's got a few more corners to navigate until he can pip Cyprus. Well, a few corners. He's got a whole half a lap to navigate, but he's already 2.5 up, which could be very interesting to see where he ends up being on track. George Brabner as well coming across. Oh, well, there he is. George Brabner has had a bit of an issue. He's spun behind, I think. He's definitely stuck in the track. See if we try to find a replay what happened. Yeah, I think maybe he invalidated his lap right there, and that does look exactly like what happened. He pulled over to the side and just chilling on the grass as he's waiting to be towed back to the pit lane, as I'm also waiting for this replay to end so I can continue my commentary of this race. As the last Kirschbaum at the moment still has 130R to navigate. It's the last car to set a quality lap, but it's an absolute flyer. It might put him up to P2. I reckon that Felix is cheering him on from the box as well. If the other Rennwelten drivers will see. Jumping into the chicane he comes. Just 2 more corners to navigate for Lars Kirschbaum. He's up on his Delta. It looks like it's going to be very close between himself and Cy Prithvi. A little bit wide on the corner exit, losing a little bit of time actually down towards the straight. Is it enough time that he's gained through the whole lap though to jump? It just about is. He jumps and pips Cy Prithvi by a whole 10th there at the end. So it's a Rennwelten 1-2 for this qualifying session. I'll quickly show you some beautiful highlights of Suzuka in the meantime, while I just set up my cameras for the usual Suzuka showcase, or Suzuka showcase, the track showcase I'll get down to today. So let me know in chat what you're having to drink, having as snacks to enjoy this race. I personally myself am having what they're called romkoeler, which is a Danish delicacy, and some water on top of that. I'll quickly. The romkoeler is it's the leftover cakes you make, and you throw it together with some cocoa powder and some butter, and it's just a nice little it's like a little ball, a little chocolatey ball. It's very delicious. So I'm having that at the moment with some water, and I might go make some tea soon because my throat's already dying. But yeah, let me know what you're having in chat. be nice to see what people are enjoying on this Monday evening. But anyways, it's time to start the Suzuka showcase. So as you can see, a very beautiful track in the mountains of Japan. As we'll slowly pan down to the track. And there's it looks like there's actually just a mini Suzuka go-kart track right next to it. I hadn't realized that. And yeah, it's straight up a mini version of the actual track in a go-kart form. That's pretty cool. But here we are on the start-finish straight with 23 BMWs today, so quite a packed grid, I'd say. I can't remember if this is the Honda test track or Toyota test track. I can't remember. Someone let me know in chat if you know. We'll just have a look over these beautiful liveries here on the grid today, and not so beautiful but funny livery of Antoine Olive. So I just had to expose you a little bit there. And again, the Valkenhorst racing liveries up at the front of the grid. So Suzuka is definitely it's a long run down into turn 1. We can see quite a few overtakes maybe happening here on the start lap. Not so many during the race because it's quite a difficult corner to make the braking point correct. But if you might see a lot of side-by-side action here all the way down to turn 3 or 4, depending on what you count as a turn, where cars could probably go into single file through the S's. Very difficult corners to get spot on perfect, but so satisfying when you finally get it done correctly. Swooping banked left-hander up here, where you could get a great exit and potentially make a move into the first Degners. Which is also a difficult overtaking spot, but it does happen sometimes. You can push people out wide and go side by side, and you got the beautiful sunrise or sunset. I don't know when the track time is over there. That's very nice. Sorry, I just got distracted from the track. A prime opportunity for overtaking is into this hairpin, as is just around the corner and deep into the braking zone. But it's also a prime opportunity for a cutback maneuver if someone outbrakes you, trying to overtake you. We got the final few corners up here. Not much you can do overtaking wise here. Maybe a little bit into the first one, but not so much in the second one, as it's just an exit. And then we drop down the track down to 130R, which is the most insane corner in racing, at least in ACC corners. Flat out, it's flat out an F1 car. You have to lift a bit for the GT3s. Running on the curves, it's very easy to spin and crash into the walls here. We've seen it happen multiple times in all TOS races here at Suzuka. And then we have the final chicane, which is another overtaking opportunity. We're just jumping over the curves, where you can lose a lot of time, as well as we saw happen with Higgins earlier on in his lap towards the end of qualifying. And then down the start-finish straight. So that's a rough overline of Suzuka. And now we're going to have a prime example of the cars driving this track. It's a brilliant track, really a driver's track, and I think most of these drivers, one of their favorite tracks, or if not the favorite. Alongside, I think another popular one is Bathurst as well. We also have the other normal popular ones like Imola. A lot of people like Nürburgring, some people like Silverstone, don't know why. Yeah. The Suzuka is definitely one of those tracks where you're like, yes, I enjoy driving that one. Because it really is a driver's track, and if you get anything wrong, you're in the grass, the stakes are a bit more high, and it's got decent overtaking opportunities, so you can also enjoy some fun close racing at high speeds and at low speeds. So we've got to the Felix Corporate and Melton car leading the pack at the moment. I'm going to take a little break from my voice. Be right back. Alright, I am now back. And yeah, everyone let me know, what are your predictions for this race? I think qualifying, it was pretty clear cut who was the fastest driver. It was a big gap behind Felix Wolpert. But it's a race, nonetheless, and anything can happen. We've seen it before, where a driver would dominate qualifying and then something happens during the race and it's a different result than what's expected. So let me know who you think is going to win. I'll tell you what the safe prediction is, but Also, maybe while you're at it, let me know who you think the podium winners will be at the end of this race. Coming towards the final few corners now. All the cars are ready to get going. It's just so it's quite intimidating seeing all these BMWs come towards you. Just knowing that every single driver is just thinking about the first corner and how many places they're going to make up, and when to nail the overtaking opportunities, or at least the braking zones to have a lot of opportunity. I think we'll see a lot of people going around the outside. It's quite it's a good strategy for the first lap, but it's also a risky one. We'll see how many people will take the risk today as we go on to the final start-finish straight. A decently long run until the first corner, but or until the green flags, but at least it's not long as Imola. As they're all the F1 start-finish line, but the GT3 one's a bit further down. So we'll go green any moment. All these BMWs are ready to pass. You see Sam Chumley going quite close to Gareth Higgins there, so he might make up a few positions at the start. So we're about to go green. There it is. And the beautiful reaction from Sam Chumley, as I was mentioning earlier. He was trying to make a position. Felix Ruppert cuts off last Kirschbaum into turn 1 already. And there's not really a huge battle for change at the moment as Jack Holly tries to hang around the outside, and so does Ruben van der Hudding on Sam Chumley, but everyone gets through unscathed at the very start as Gareth Higgins gives up a position to Jack Holly, but not just yet. They're going side by side through the corners in the back there, and that's already a brilliant fight happening with these drivers back here as Gareth Higgins is a little bit out of shape, and Sam Chumley getting caught a little bit. Ruben van der Hudding trying to make a position, but actually while that's happening, Tommy Aslin capitalizes on Ruben van der Hudding, go a little bit wide, and he makes a position, so he's up to P8 now. Gareth Higgins maintains his P5 ahead of Jack Colley, but Jack Colley really put on the pressure there at the front to try and overtake his teammate, but was not able to make it happen. Very clean lap so far, but we're coming into the hairpin now, so that can change things very quickly. Down into the braking zone, doesn't look like there's anyone getting remotely close to making a huge dive bomb, but Ruben van der Hudding trying to make a cutback on Tommy Aslin, regain the position he lost earlier on in the lap at the start here, but Tommy Aslin manages to get a great exit out of the corner and maintains position for now. But Ruben might have a look up the inside into this corner. No, he doesn't. He decides to back out and maybe wait until 130 hours. In the background, Aidan Bailey in race conditions goes off the track, loses 2 positions, goes wide, might get a poor exit. That's going to allow Ben Lowes to potentially make an overtake as well into 130 or at least before it, but it looks like it's getting closer and closer. Looking at his own Instagram handle at the back of Aidan Bailey's car there. Oh, a little bit contact and onto the curb he goes, and Antoine Olive right behind as well. You see him jumping through the gap between Aidan Bailey and Ben Lowes, somehow managing to survive, and I think that's Mikael Osterholm in the back there, almost trying to overtake, but Ben Lowes and Aidan Bailey still going side by side there in the background. And we'll see who gets a better exit. Looks like Ben Lowes has the better exit, and Ruben van der Hudding already in the pit lane at the moment, so he might be trying one of those masterful undercuts at the moment. But it was very exciting. We'll have to look at the replay between Antoine Olive and Aidan Bailey after this. Here we go, yeah. So Aidan Bailey goes wide and Ben Lowes maintains his position. Wow, what was Antoine? That was very brave from Antoine there. I'll try and quickly find the replay. If I don't find it, I do apologize. But I believe it's... I'll try to find a heli camera here. I believe it's this one. So yeah, we have the contact between Ben Lowes and Aidan Bailey, and then Antoine Olive around the outside. Well, Aidan Bailey's coming back and track. It looked like contact with Ben Lowes. Wow, what a move that was. And Mikael Osterholm, you see, almost hitting the back of Cofield there. Of Cofield there, but manages to stay out of trouble. Wow, that was a brave maneuver from Antoine there. And I'm just reading in the chat that it looks like Van der Hudding crashed into the pits. I'll have to have a look at this one. So car 29 of Nico Veldman has had an accident, and that is the only accident I can calculate. So Nico Veldman here, maybe he was the one that crashed into the pits, and it looked like he might have been actually getting tapped by Danny, and into the barrier he goes. So yeah, he did crash into the pits, and then someone else trying to pit, Ryan Lopp in the background there, has to slow down quite a lot because Nico Veldman was blocking the pit entry, and then Ruben van der Hudding was in the pit lane before that incident happened. So that was very unfortunate contact between Danny Cofield and Nico Veldman, sending Veldman into the barriers. Danny Cofield, He had his birthday yesterday, and for his birthday we were driving the 23 hours of Zolder. So that's myself, Victor Savinsky is not here today, Sam Chumley who is here today, and Daniel Cofield and Pixel McCormack. We were all sharing a car for this 23 hours of Zolder on iRacing for the Jimmy Broadbent yearly charity event for Mind. We also streamed it on this channel if you're interested in having a look. It's one of those more meme races, so we sent out our meme team, but we somehow managed to get P3 in the end, so we were very happy with the result. And it was a nice little birthday present for Daniel Kofi, as Alexander Diakowski is applying the pressure on Martin Muller, trying to get past it into turn 1, but not quite being able to make the move stick. Someone else trying to make a move happen is Jorge Prieto on Michael Osterholm, but again, if you... oh, a little bit of sideways action there as he goes onto the grass, and that's actually going to allow Marvin Betch behind as he goes onto the grass again. Marvin Betch trying to snake his way through, not able to find a gap there for his car, and has to just wait behind as Pietro goes wide again, and that's going to allow Marvin Betch to get a better exit, probably maybe make a move into the Degner 1 on the round. The outside is going to be very difficult as Pietro breaks later, trying the cutback maneuver of Marvin Betch. A little bit of contact between the two drivers, and Pietro stays ahead for now. What a nice little battle happening there. Ben Lowe's as well, diving into the hairpin, trying to get past Antoine Olive, not able to make it happen. So this battle will continue to brew as we speak. It's a nice little battle between Antoine Olive and Ben Lowe's. You see in the background Aidan Bailey also having Daniel Cofield for company there. It looks like at the moment Ben Lowe's is a little bit faster than Antoine Olive, and maybe could potentially make a move going into the 130R. Someone else who's potentially making a move, Alexander Diakowski, up the inside of Martin Muller. Oh, it just decides to back out of it at the very end there. It's a very smart maneuver, trying to carry the speed. Oh, you see Martin Muller almost losing the car in 130R there, and Diakowski just has to back out of this move, as trying to make an overtake happen into 130R in itself is very brave. Actually succeeding is a whole other story, and into the pit lane dives Alexander Diakowski as he wants to try and get some free air to try and make up some positions by doing a bit of an undercut here, because there's no tire change, there's only 1 liter mandatory fuel to be taken, so he might be taking that 1 liter right now. Daniel Cofield running quite close to Aidan Bailey. Not close enough to make a move, but close enough to make him nervous for sure, as we'll have a look on his front splitter. I love this camera angle, definitely through the Suzuka S's. This is one of the best camera angles you'll have in ACC's splitter camera, and you see app photos by Ben Lowe's on the back of Aidan Bailey's spoiler right there. A little bit of bit of a shout out to Ben yet again for creating this livery. If you want to check him out on Instagram, he does take nice pictures of his BMW diesel. Can't remember which one it is exactly. I believe it's the 120D or the 118D. I think it's the 120D, but he'll confirm with me one day. As Aidan Bailey nails that corner perfectly, and Daniel Cofield goes a little bit deep and almost collects the rear of Aidan Bailey, but it's not manages to keep his car under control. Sandro Ballesteros catching up to the back of Michael Renoja. This battle might be quite interesting. I don't really see much racing from I haven't seen much racing from these two drivers, and I don't know if they've fought together on track before, but it's happening now, and it's around Suzuka, so we could potentially see a nice overtake happening into the chicane after 130R, depending on the exit of all the drivers. But here we go, Ballesteros running quite wide, and Renoja nailing the corner a bit better. You see the understeer there from Ballesteros, not going to help his exit speed. But it seems like Renault has had a pretty poor exit as well. So Ballesteros is actually catching up to Renault. That's the wrong camera angle. I'm sorry for that. But it doesn't look like he's close enough to make a move into 130R, but he's close enough to hang it with him. Although it sounds a bit sketchy on the throttle inputs there through 130R and down into the chicane, and there's no overtake happening there. Jack Colley as well, making his way closer to Sam Chumley, as I believe Sam Chumley has gotten past him at some point early on in this race already, trying to just stick with him or make his way past. I think the pace of these two drivers are pretty much identical, so we'll have to wait and see. But this battle we saw earlier with Ballesteros and Renoja just looked a bit to get interesting into turn 1, as Ballesteros was closing up close to Renoja, but the gap has opened up a bit again. So it's a bit of the nature of Suzuka. You can get close, you can try and overtake, but the gaps do open up again, and it's a bit hard to get a proper battle going, so to say. And it takes a mistake from the guy ahead to how do you call it, to make an overtake happen. I'm losing my words and my voice in this commentary. 1 second. Hope everyone is well on this Monday, enjoying the race so far as just as much as I am. Balestros getting closer to Renoja now, and he's actually running, nearly pushing him through the hairpin there. Gets a bit of a poor exit though, so that's going to send him a little bit back, but right on board with him. No pressure for him, the cameras are all on you, Sandro, so hopefully no commentary curse or broadcasting curse this time around. As we did manage to curse someone earlier on in qualifying. We'll see how they navigate these corners. So Renault has gone very deep, that's going to give him a poor exit. Balestros getting very eager on the loud pedal, gives him a poor exit as well. But it's still quicker than the one Renault has, and it's going to be a repeat of the last lap basically, where he is going to get closer and closer, 130R, maybe maintain the gap into the hairpin. Oh, a little bit of a break in there from Renault. That could potentially be an opportunity for Balestros, but he's not close enough to capitalize, and they will have to stay in their normal position, their respective positions at the moment in P17 and P18. But we'll have to have a look into turn 1, because this is also where it got close last lap around. 4 tenths between the two drivers now. It'll probably be around 2-3 tenths by the time they hit turn 1. And it looks like it's getting closer and closer, but just not close enough to capitalize on a maneuver. Renault maintaining his composure, maintaining his pace to keep Balestros behind. Someone else who has to think about keeping someone behind is George Brabham and Cy Prithvi. This battle we saw happening in Nürburgring, we're seeing it again. George Brabham just dropping back a little bit from Lars Kirschbaum, who's well, he's 5 seconds away from Felix Robert. Felix Robert absolutely dominating this race so far. Having a little bit of a Lewis Hamilton moment, I would say. At least back in his dominating days. Maybe a bit more of a Verstappen moment in the modern era. Or should I maybe, let's see, a Schumacher moment where it just blasts off into the distance. That is Michael Schumacher, of course, not Mick Schumacher. As Cy Prithvi rounds the corner onto the back straight, 5 tenths behind George Brabham, so not quite close enough to make a move, I don't think. But all it does take is a mistake from George Brabham on 130 on. It doesn't look like it happens, so he keeps his composure, and yeah, that battle is will resume later on. A battle that's happening right now though is Ben Lowe's right behind Antoine Levi, basically pushing him through 130R. The gap will open up a little bit as he runs a little bit wider than Olive, being a bit more conservative on the curbs there. As we saw a video happening earlier with Ben asking, how do you take 130R? I keep spinning, but some other battle, Cy Prithvi back behind George Brabham, trying to go around the outside. Brabham breaks earlier, Cy Prithvi a bit later, but is he able to keep that momentum going? Doesn't look like it's quite able to happen as Brabham closes the door that was open, and Cy Prithvi has to fall back behind George at the moment. Although he is getting ever so closely, and I can start to imagine the cockpit of George Brabham's car is getting just a bit more anxious and stressful the closer Cy Prithvi is behind him. And here we go, yet again he gets a better exit into the first deck. Now very close the cars are. Oh, it looks like there was a bit of contact, but the cars just synchronized turning, I would say. As it looked like Cy was getting very close there to make an overtake, and also saw in the back and it looked like Sam Chumley was almost pushing Higgins through the corner. We have the hairpin now. Is Sam gonna make an overtake into the hairpin? He's thinking about it, maybe. Oh, a little bit of a tap in the hairpin, and then round goes Gareth Higgins onto the grass, and that is a very unfortunate accident. He has to spin his car around, loses 3 positions, and that might lose a 4th one to Martin Muller here, but that was just an unfortunate small contact with Sam Chumley, and that completely ruins his race. Very unfortunate from Gareth Higgins and Sam Chumley, but I'm sure the FIA and the stewards will have a look at that to deem who is at fault. Something tells me it's going to be quite a big one. Oh, yellow flags as well for the number 19 running off the track. I didn't quite catch what happened there. Let's try to see if we can find a replay. Oh, it looks like he dived onto the grass to try and avoid a contact with Mikel Renoja by being a bit too late on his brakes. So I just saw a yellow flag for the number 29 as well. So that would be Nico Veldman. I wonder what's happening with his race. He's not had the best day on the office, that's for sure. I'm pretty sure he's already waiting for the end of this mini-series, because he has told me he much prefers driving the Audi, and the Audi is his go-to car, and the BMW is very different to the driving style that he's used to from the Audi. The battle continues between Sai Prithvi and George Brabner at the moment, and also behind with Sam Chong, Jack Colley and Tommy Aslin, but it's not close enough to be a spicy battle yet. But I've seen Tommy's pace, and he looks like he's catching up to that train slowly but surely, so he could be in contention for a P5 or so after penalties will be applied. But we'll talk about the podium positions for now. Sai Prithvi running right behind George Brabner. It looks like Brabner made a bit of a mistake through the first Decna there. It's going to allow Sai Prithvi to get even closer to him than before, and into the hairpin we're going to go. Will Sai make a move now? It looks like he's a bit too far behind to think about it, but he's getting very close in the hairpin. Needs to maximize his exit speed here, and George Brabner does get a brilliant exit to build that gap to Sai Prithvi behind him. You see in the background we had Tommy Aslin and Jack Colley catching up to the rear of Sam Chumley. We've got this little battle brewing here with Sai Prithvi and George Brabner. We got the battle behind Jack Colley and Aslin, and we got a little bit of a train behind Martin Muller with Gareth Higgins, Anton Olive, Ben Lowes and Aidan Bailey. But I wouldn't say it's a train as such, more like just a battle where people are within a second of each other. That could potentially brew into something very interesting. But I'll have to wait and see, and the pace difference might be too much between Higgins and Muller with his new damage for anything to happen. But it looks like Brabner's going a little bit deep into the chicane that might allow Prithvi to get a better exit. Doesn't quite look like he's got it done yet. He is going to be gaining slowly but surely with the slipstream, but not enough to make a move, it seems. Behind him, Jack Colley as well. Right behind Sam Chumley. This could potentially be a bit more of a likely move happening into turn 1, but Sam Chumley is still way too far ahead for anything to happen there. As Colley slowly but surely catching up to Sam. Sam has been losing a bit of pace to the guys ahead compared to when Gareth Higgins was in front. So actually now Jack Colley is right up behind the rear of Sam Chumley. And, I think Sam might be considering pitting soon. Oh wow, just look at the colours and how beautiful this game looks. With this sunrise or sunset. I still don't know. I think it might be a sunset, to be honest. I can't remember exactly, but the sky is just amazing with this orangey bluish tint to it. You know what else is amazing? Tommy Aslin right up behind Jack Colley. So this battle between Jack Colley and Sam Chumley, it's starting to heat up now. As Tommy Aslin runs a little bit wide there, it validates his lap time. Maybe got a track warning for doing so. But into the hairpin they go. It doesn't look like anyone is making a move just yet, but the cars are getting closer and closer compact, so we'll keep an eye on this battle for sure, as there's still another battle happening between Gareth Higgins and Martin Muller behind, and you see Anton Olive in the background there. Did have Ben Lowes for company earlier on, but he's decided to go to the pit lane and to try and maybe undercut this whole train, which could potentially see him up to P8 by the end of the race. It's another thing we have to think about, the pit strategies. Not so many people pitting early in this race. It seems like people are going more for the mid-race or the late-race pit stop. But I think that's because the traffic's not been so difficult to deal with this time around compared to the other tracks we saw before. Where at Nürburgring, if you get stuck behind someone, you really get stuck behind someone. But the pace difference is, there's quite a big gaps between the lot of the cars, so I think they're not having that many issues getting the speed down. And there's Martin Muller actually having issue making the corner there as Gareth Higgins is ready to pounce, tries to do the undercut, but the undercut straight into the pit lane. That is him trying to save as much time as possible by not battling the guy ahead. He probably thought, as soon as I'll catch up, I'll jump into the pit lane. And it looks like exactly what Gareth Higgins has done. Maybe repaired a bit of damage from the contact earlier with Sam Chumley, but I don't think it was so much damage that his car is becoming slow. Oh, bit of a mistake there from Jack Colley. Going into the S's of Suzuka, and that was him running close to Sam Chumley, but now he's got Tommy Aslin behind him. He needs to worry about It's the thing, when you're in the middle of a trio like this, you make an attack on the guy ahead, you make a mistake, the guy right behind you is ready to pounce. That is something that he needs to watch out for, at least, when making his overtaking moves. As Tommy Aslan is very close now, we're right on board for the best seat in the house for this battle of Tommy Aslan. Turn up your volume, guys. I'm gonna mute myself a little bit, go get myself some water. Just enjoy this little battle. I am back again. It looks like I've come back just at the right time as Jack Pauly is running very closely to Sam Chumley. Maybe he's going to make a move into the chicane. He's not quite close enough to make it happen, but that is going to apply extra pressure on Sam Chumley. And one of these guys might be thinking of pitting, and it seems like Sam Chumley is the guy thinking of pitting. And just looking at the line he took, it just looked like he was ready to do that. And the number 86 is yellow flags as well, and that is Andrew Moulton, who's had an incident of some sort. We'll try and find the replay. Oh, I didn't quite catch it. But he spun out somehow, and now we have to look at this disgusting anime livery car for 10 seconds. I'm sorry about that shot. Here you are, but I couldn't quite catch what happened there, but he did spin out somewhere. And now Tommy Aslan is right up behind Jack Pauly. I don't know, maybe Sam Chumley was the slipstream he got was dragging him along, but now this is a battle on our hands. You see the lines Tommy is taking is different to the ones Jack is taking. Yeah, this is it's quite beautiful to see these cars going through the Suzuka S. It's a sight to behold, that's for sure. Tommy needs to turn his lights on. I just realised he's got daytime savings on. What's he doing? Or maybe he's trying to do that thing where they turn the lights off and just make himself invisible in the mirrors, so to say. But it's not quite dark enough to do that yet. Just moving his leg a little bit. And then a little bit deeper goes Jack Pauly as well. Tommy Aslan trying to go up the inside, but doesn't quite get close enough to make anything happen. But he's really applying the pressure now on Jack Pauly. Got two more corners to go onto the back straight. We'll have a look and see how they are relative to each other. If anyone makes a mistake, but I know Jack Pauly is a very calm, collected driver, so he's not one to crack under pressure, and he didn't in these few corners. And then it's 5/10 between the two cars now. It's going to be close going into the hairpin, but I don't think it'll be close. Sorry, the hairpin, the chicane. I don't think it's going to be close enough for an overtake to happen, but you never know. Could be making a mistake in 130R. Looks like Tommy almost lost the car there. Huge drift from his side, hitting the curb on the inside of the corner, but still manages to keep the car under control. Jack Pauly as well going deep into the chicane, and there's a stop go 30 for Andrew Moulton. I wonder what that is for. Maybe a track cut or something, or speeding in the pit lane. I was probably speeding in the pit lane. That's usually what stop go 30 is for. Here we have Tommy Aslan right up behind Jack Pauly. Is he going to make a move into turn 1? I don't think it's just close enough to do it just yet. It's actually Jack Pauly goes a little bit deep. That's going to allow Tommy Aslan to get through, and he's got all the way through. A little bit side-by-side action happening as he jumps in the helicam, and that Tommy Aslan is through into the Suzuka S's. So a little mistake there from Jack Pauly, and that is all Tommy needed. There's a free invitation for him to move up a position, and up to P5 goes Tommy Aslan. Brilliant little scrap between these two drivers. And we're seeing quite a lot of people pitting now, as we have Oosterholm, Pietro and Betch all pitting at the same time. And Sam Chumley as well. He might be timing his masterful undercuts, as he's a bit known for his undercuts here in 2S. But he might have been timed just to perfection, because while these two have been battling, Sam has been having free air, and this free air will allow him to maybe potentially jump these guys in the pit lane. And I know Tommy Aslan has been complaining that he loses more time in the pit lane compared to others, and he doesn't really know why, as he comes in and the car drop doesn't, like, he does his pit stop perfectly, and he still loses time. So maybe we'll see a change of position yet again once all these drivers pit. It does throw a bit of a curveball into the mix, and it's an interesting one to see for sure. Alexander Diakowski trying to make a move on Ryan Noppen into turn 1. Yes, he does. Goes through with ease on Ryan Noppen as Dierkowski makes up his lost positions from early on in the race, trying to regain as much as he can from this one. Ruben van der Hurting doing the same on Renault, making the move before the hairpin. I've not seen that before. That was a brilliant little move from Ruben van der Hurting. And while that's happening, Tommy Aslin and Jack Colley as well getting closer and closer to each other. This time Jack Colley being the guy attacking and Tommy Aslin being the guy having to defend. But it looks like Tommy has done his defending to perfection, and Jack Colley does dive into the pit lane now, so this will be interesting to see where he comes out in accordance to Sam Chumley. But we also have to remember that Sam Chumley might have a penalty depending on what the stewards say. So we'll have to see in the results. You can find the results on the sim grid. We now have our own sim grid page, 2S the community. You should search for, and then you'll find it. If you're also interested in joining this race, there's still one round left next week. There's 5 spots open for drivers, so feel free to sign up if you want to sign up. If you already have signed up, then your race is brilliant. And if you want to explore 2S as a whole, community as a whole, we're not just a racing community, we also do other gaming with each other. For example, sometimes we have nights where we do Jackbox together, or we play some Warzone together, or Splatoon. Anything you can think of, there'll probably be someone else who's interested in it, and you can just feel free to join. It's a nice little community, mainly focused on racing and endurance racing, but we do also enjoy just having a laugh with each other. So if you're interested, find the link in the description, and also try and find us on 2S. Sorry, 2S on the SimGrid. Search 2S the community. Sam Chumley did come out ahead of Jack Colley by quite some margin, actually. I was quite surprised to see that Jack Colley is right in front of Ruben van der Hurting. So van der Hurting, running in free air, has somehow managed to make his way all the way up to net P6 at the moment after starting P12. That is brilliant form from van der Hurting. Not expected to see that at all, as he's got Jack Colley right in front of him at the moment, and I think maybe Colley has had a bit of a poor pit stop, because Sam Chumley is also about 5 seconds up the road compared to Colley, and there were only 5/10 between them when Sam Chumley went to the pit, and I think Colley pitted 3 laps later than Sam Chumley. So that will be very interesting to see. Now Tommy Aslin, he might have to pit soon to try and cover off this gap behind him, or he will try and extend his laps as much as possible to really make sure he maintains that P5 position. It seems the pace between himself and Jack Colley were identical, so it's more a question of who does the pit stop right compared to who has the most pace, I think. So we'll wait and see until Tommy Aslin pits, but at the moment Jack Colley also building a slight gap to Ruben van der Hurting. Not quickly, but it seems like van der Hurting is falling behind slightly compared to Colley, and pace difference might be quite big. And so, huge dive bomb from Gareth Higgins to get past Mikael Renault. Renault obviously not having pitted yet, as you can see on the left with one orange one tick there, but I just saw the delta dropping on Higgins. We saw him running around the outside in the chicane there, and through he goes up to P10. Unfortunately for me, at the contact earlier with Sam Chumley, but he's still only 4.5 seconds behind van den Hurting, so he's not lost. Well, he's regained quite a lot of the time he's lost compared to Colley, but we'll see how much he regained compared to Tommy Aslin when Aslin pits. So, I mentioned earlier that this is a 5-round championship, and we only know the first 4 rounds on paper, what they're going to be, what tracks they're going to have, so the drivers have time to practice on these tracks. Please let me know in the chat, what track do you guys want to see for the final round? We'll do a random number generation. We'll do it 1 hour before the race goes live. So we don't know, even us, the admins of the league, we don't know exactly what's going to be the track. We do know the US DLCs will be excluded, because not everyone has this DLC yet. So these tracks will be excluded, but every other track will be in the calendar. So let me know which tracks you want to see. Personally, I would like to see one we've not driven for a very long time. Hopefully not a track like Snetterton or Zandvoort. Which I think generally are just quite boring tracks to try and race on. Snetterton can be good for racing sometimes, but generally it's not the best. and Zandvoort it's basically a choo-choo train, a simulator with no overtaking opportunities anywhere. Speaking of overtaking opportunities though, Alexander Diakovsky may be making a move on Jorge Pietro soon. We'll see if he gets a better exit. He does get a much better exit than Pietro, running right up his rear bumper. Pietro tries to defend the inside for 130R, and that might be a good idea. And it looks like Pietro is running a much lower wing compared to Diakovsky. Diakovsky is losing time behind him, even in the slipstream. That is quite impressive. I've not seen that before in this. Oh, big snap from Diakovsky. Catches the car though with this camera angle. That looked very dramatic though. But Pietro, that lower rear wing might be saving him at the moment for this onslaught of attacks from Diakovsky. It's great defending from Pietro. All he just has to do is press the loud pedal, drop the ring, and he is ahead. With Diakovsky getting closer and closer into turn 1. Is he able to make a move? It doesn't look like he's quite close enough to make a move there in trying to go around the outside of Pietro, but Pietro doing beautiful to defend it. But he goes a bit deep actually. A little bit of loss of downforce maybe be the difference there. And Alexander Diakovsky going around the outside into the S's, and he does make the move stick. Brilliant move from Diakovsky, making his way up to P16. And while that was happening, I also saw a battle between Van der Hooding and Colley happening. They're still running in the same positions as earlier. They got quite close on the Delta, but not close enough to have anything major happen. Just under 10 minutes left of this race. It's a bit hard to call what the final spot of the podium position will be, as we have Sai Prithvi and George Brabham still fighting each other. I think it's quite interesting that everyone has pitted apart from the top 5. Well, everyone that was in the top 10, the top 5 have not pitted yet, everyone else has. So it's interesting to see that the leaders, well, I'll say the top 5 leaders, have decided not to pit. Well, and Antoine Olivier as well, but he was running P8, P9 or something before the pit stops. But it's interesting that all of them have decided not to pit there. See what their strategy is. It's probably a last minute splash and dash or something along those lines. Which could also be interesting to see, because we know sometimes we've had the undercuts, for example with Sam Chumley, he loves a good undercut, and he has been able to execute quite well, and he got 5 seconds ahead of Jack Colley. Sai Prithvi goes a little bit deep there in that corner, but someone who's not going deep is Ruben van der Hooding, staying right up behind Jack Colley here. This fight's still going on, but it doesn't seem like he's ever been close enough to really try and overtake, but he's just been following around, and maybe that's all you need to do, to just apply the pressure behind, and hopefully you can maybe maneuver yourself in a way to do what I like to call a mind punt, where you look like you're going to go up the inside, so the guy ahead tries to brake a little bit later than usual, and they end up outbraking themselves when you actually just dummied them. But I know these drivers, the better the drivers are, the less susceptible to these moves they are. I know Jack Colley is definitely a very strong-minded driver, so Ruben will try all the tricks he can in the book to try and overtake, but it's going to be a very difficult battle for him. But we'll ride on board anyways and try and watch the drama unfold from Ruben's car. See who gets the better exit here in the second corner of this section. It looks like Ruben's got a bit of a sideways action going on there, and that's lost him a little bit of time with the exit. Jack Colley got a better exit, but now he's got the slipstream of Ruben van der Hooding behind to worry about. We've got 130 hours to navigate. Quite difficult in the BMW, but these drivers have done it every single lap so far. Little lift from Ruben, and it's brilliant carrying of speed through that corner there by Ruben, showcasing just the limits of the car. A little bit deep from Jack Colley. It's going to cost him a little bit through the chicane, but it's not enough to do anything on the exit here. Ruben van der Hooding will get close into turn 1, but it probably won't be close enough. So he could maybe try and hang it around the outside, or try and get a switchback maneuver happening for the S section. But I see Jack Colley just braking a little bit earlier, Ruben a little bit later. Jack Colley actually going quite deep. It's just the same mistake he made earlier, fighting Tommy Aslin. Ruben van der Hooding trying to go around the outside, but Colley's got the inside covered and does just manage to stay ahead. Brilliant defending from Colley after that mistake, and great little recovery there to make sure that Ruben van der Hooding does not get past him into the S section. So Ruben almost saw that P8 position ahead of him, but his hopes were dwindled as Jack Hawley did a brilliant defending performance to defend his mistake that he just made into that corner. It's a nice little scrap to watch between the two drivers. Very respectful racing, very entertaining to watch indeed. And you see in the background that Gareth Higgins is actually closing up on them while these two are fighting, so he might be a contender to might be taking the positions he lost earlier with the contact of Sam Chumley to make this happen. But then speaking of context, I've just seen Daniel Cofield is yellow flags. I wonder what's happened there. We'll jump to the replay. It looks like it could be a solo incident. Yes, he does. It just gets onto the grass. Car goes spinning around into the barrier. Goes. There's a borked front end, and he spins himself back onto the other side of the track just before getting collected by Andrew Moulton, and then off he goes again. So a little bit of a solo incident by Daniel Cofield there, and sorry, Kenny, we caught it on stream. Lars Kirschbaum and George Brabner now into the pit lane. So these are the leaders pitting. Tommy Aslin also has just been in the pit lane, I've seen, and he's only a second and a bit behind Sam Chumley, nearly 2 seconds now, as he's trying to get his tyres up to temperature again or back into the rim. But most importantly, he's ahead of Jack Hawley. So we'll see at the end of the race with the penalties from the stewards what that position will be at the end. But I assume Sam Chumley is going to get a slight time penalty. If it's 5 seconds or 10 seconds, I don't know, but as long as Tommy Aslin stays within 5 seconds, he should get that position on penalties from Sam, who had that incident earlier with Gareth Higgins into the chicane. But again, I'm not the steward, it's not the final decision. We'll have to wait for a final decision of the stewards. It could also be a racing incident. We don't know, we don't have all the angles yet, and we'll leave them to decide. But Tommy looks a little bit slidey through the S's here, trying to heat up his tyres maybe. Or he's just realised he wants to have a little bit of fun drifting around in the S's with 4 minutes of the race to go. So probably 2 or 3 laps left, depending on when Felix Ruppert decides to cross the line. Let's speak a little bit about Felix Ruppert actually. You see his best race lap at 1:58.8 as he dives into the pit lane. Absolutely insane pace from the Rennwelten driver today. And what a way to come back to 2S. He usually joins for these fun little mini-series we do. He doesn't take part in the main series because he races some other series on Mondays, and to be honest, he would dominate the competition here as he is showing today. We have had races where it's been very close, especially with George Brabner and sometimes also Sam Chumley, Ruben van der Hooding, Tommy Aslin, just to name a few of the drivers that could potentially take Felix off his spot. But definitely Felix usually is one of the drivers to come out on top in these cases. George Brabner as well, only just slightly behind Lars Kirschbaum. Maybe Lars Kirschbaum had a bit of a poor pit stop compared to him. And Saib Prithvi as well, not having pitted yet, so he's going to go for a last minute pit stop. Saib Prithvi obviously was trying to overtake George Brabner before the pit stops happened. Maybe he's going to do an uppercut at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. And while that happens, Daniel Cofield has to let Marvin Bedge through because he's got a lot of damage on the front end. And I also assume a lot of understeer. But he should be used to understeer because he just spent 23 hours over the weekend driving a front-wheel drive Kia Optima around Zolder, so that was understeer galore. There's no traction control, no ABS in this car, and if you got a little bit too happy with the loud pedal, you can turn the car as much as you want. The car was going straight. It was an interesting thing to drive, and it's completely different to what he's driving now. I'm quite impressed with how he's been able to cope with the changes so quickly. George Brabner as well was close to last Kirschbaum, but I think he's made a bit of a mistake somewhere. I was just looking at his deltas. He dropped back quite a few tenths there, so I don't know what happened exactly, but we'll have to see what Saib Prithvi does when he jumps into the pit lane. It looks like next lap won't be the final lap. Just looking at where Saib Prithvi is on track, actually, well, Felix Ruppert is the net leader, but it depends on when the leader finishes the race. So Saib Prithvi will have to pit this lap. Otherwise, he's going to get a penalty, time penalty slapped on top of what it is exactly. It might be, is it stop go 10? Is it a drive through 30 seconds? I can't remember exactly, but you do get a penalty if you don't complete the pit stops correctly. And there he is, diving into the pit lane for the final, almost touching the wall there. That was quite a sketchy pit entrance if I've ever seen one. But here we have Felix Ruppert, 15 seconds ahead of the last Kirschbaum. Rounding the corner now, onto his final lap he goes, and the time for Saib Prithvi to make an overtake of George Brabner will be very slim if he comes up behind George Brabner, but we'll have to see where he is as Brabner comes onto the final corner now. Going down the start-finish straight, Cypher 3 not leaving the pit lane just yet, still stationary in there. Looks like George Brabner has done enough to stay ahead, and there's a stop-go 30 seconds for Cypher 3, so even if he managed to get overtaking George Brabner, he was not able to complete that is for speeding in the pit lane, that stop-go 30, so I wonder if that pit entrance was just a bit too fast that we saw earlier on, and that is very unfortunate for Cypher 3. Unlucky for him. He was having a brilliant race, and that was a P3 taking away from him, or actually a P4, a very strong P4 at that as well. Antoine Olive coming out of the pit lane onto the track behind, it looks like it's behind Gareth Higgins and in front of Ben Lowe, so he'll come out in P10. It says he's P5 on the timing board for some reason, but it'll just update in the next sector. So yeah, for him, the strategy worked out pretty well. He was P10, I believe, when he went in, and he is P10 now. And I've just noticed Aiden Bailey's in the pit lane. Why is he in the pit lane? Oh, it's his scheduled pit stop. But he's 8 laps down. Oh, he was having such a good race, and unfortunately, it's not worked out for him. But Tommy Aslin right now coming closer to Sam Chumley, and also behind him, he's got Jack Colley and Ruben van der Hooding, and Gareth Higgins as well. You see in the background there as they come flying around the final few corners of the second sector. It looks like it's going to finish in this order, and we definitely know who the winner is going to be. Felix Ropert. What a way to come back to 2S. Absolute fastest lap, fastest qualifying lap time, and leading every lap. He's done a Grand Slam this weekend, leading every lap, fastest lap, and if qualifying, there you go. Celebrating across the line is Felix Ropert. That is a brilliant drive from him, the Luxembourgish driver from Renwelten Esports, and also Luxembourg Racing, not to complete Michelin there. But the other Renwelten driver coming across the line now is Lars Kirschbaum in P2, and that is a Renwelten dominance, I should say, with George Brabner in P3. Cypher 3 into the pit lane to try and service stop and go 30, but I think it's pit boxes after the D-line, but it is, anyways. Tommy Aslin P5, Sam Chumley P4, Colin 6, Fanny Honey P7, Gareth Higgins, Antoine Olive, Ben Lowe's, it would be Martin Muller after that, and Mikael Osterholm, Tchaikovsky Pietro. Yeah, Felix Ropert, amazing show from him. What a way to come back. Absolute huge dominance. This is a bit of a drift battle between him and Lars Kirschbaum. Right there. Great sideways action from Felix, and the entertainment comes out after the race is over. He's got brilliant car control. I know that for a fact in riding in this BMW. So maybe he's going to go celebrate with an ice cream. I don't know. Could potentially do a little bit of a bump draft from Lars Kirschbaum, and they're definitely having a fun in the Discord. Celebrating this one. So welcome back, Felix. What a way to do it. Mega Shane Foundation. Yeah, brilliant stuff. As we just can all enjoy these sideways actions. George Brabner in the background losing this car. And Ruben van der Hooding joining in as well now with this action. And Tommy Aslin is usually also quite good at these drift shows, and you might see him and Ben Lowe's actually. Oh, a little bit of contact between the other two Luxley drivers there, enjoying their home lap. Oh, love the dancing. It's good fun at the end of the race. Always good fun to see these guys enjoy each other's company at the end of the race on the track. And there we have Tommy Aslin sliding his BMW around and spinning. And now we get the donuts. Thank you for the donuts, Tommy. And then the crowd, we had just Ben Lowe's just understeering off track. Yeah, he's borked it in the back. Oh, that's brilliant stuff. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you are interested in joining 2S, please look it in the description or search 2S community on the SimGrid. Other than that, it's been a decent race. It wasn't so exciting compared to the other ones, but we still had some quite fun battles, and it does make me excited for the final round, which will happen next week on Monday, where we'll have a special round where we don't know what the track is, and also we'll host the giveaway at the end. So make sure to tune in for the giveaway. I'll make sure that all the drivers as well have a chance to tune into the stream to see the giveaway results at the end of the stream next week. It's been Christian Stricker. Thank you for bearing with me. I've been feeling worse and worse throughout the whole stream, but we've made it happen. Round 4 of 2 BMW Challenge is now complete. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.